Hello, hello, hello. This is Happy Valley Hobbies, and these are hobbies that make me happy. Let's see. Ta-da-ta-da. My phone is not showing up with. There it is. Well, one thing I decided to do today is the layout that I put together and all that. One of the rails has come off, so I'm basically going to turn around and fix that. It shouldn't take that long, but I did wind up, starting very late. Um, I'm not as much as a morning person as I used to be, so it's one of the reasons why I'm, trying to figure out uh, what new schedule to go at. Um, but this week is didn't really concentrate on it, mainly because of had a medical appointment. It was basically my first colonoscopy. Uh, However, since it was my first, I also wound up not doing the prep correctly because I apparently while reading the instructions I didn't turn the damn page over, and so I wound up missing some steps. So I had to reschedule it. Uh, so so I gotta get a call Monday to have it rescheduled. But it was not. I also took 2 days off of work, mainly because of I didn't know how this was going to be. So instead of taking just Friday off when that was scheduled, I took Thursday off also to, because I didn't know how the medication was going to affect me and all that. And since I took it wrong, it didn't affect me as it should have. So now I got to get rescheduled. Now they sat me down to explain everything, and then as soon as they turned over the patient, all that, oh crap, that explains why it didn't quite make any sense. Or not that it didn't make any sense, is that okay? That explains why I didn't follow the procedure correctly, because I didn't know the actual steps. So I had to go over that fun thing over again. So my assumption is that maybe next year, because it was about almost good 2 months beforehand, trying to like last time try to do it again. Next time I might actually contemplate, or maybe actually ask if we can turn around and maybe use the bus to get home, because there is a local bus service, and because where I work, there is a trying to think what it's called, but it's a it looked like it was it looked like it was an operation that was set up to a lot of the companies around the area. They're having trouble getting people to work, especially Mac Molding, because it's in Arlington and there's not that many people around. It's a very, very, very small town. And I guess there was a push years ago to have it where they kept on expanding to the point where the town itself could not support the amount of people that were working there. I think the plant that I work at now, come to think of it, I don't know how many people work worked there in the heyday of it, but I do know it's currently on second shift. I want to say maybe about 50 people, and that's on second shift. First shift is it. I want to say maybe even 100, possibly. I don't know. But that plant, the town could support it. But the new plant, I think, is over 1,000 people, and there's not. There is over. I want to say there is over 1,000 people, but there's. Uh, uh, there's no. There's no sidewalk to it. You can't. You have to have a car to go there. Mainly because. I mean, yes, you can walk there on the road, but to me, it's doesn't to me it doesn't feel safe. Mainly because I probably grew up on the other side of the border in New York, and people in New York don't really like pedestrians or cyclists, which is unfortunate, but another thing is that the shoulder, usually a lot of the shoulders around here that you would normally ride a bicycle on are usually sometimes narrower than the handlebars on your bicycle. So yeah, it's like you only have literally that much room between the edge of where the shoulder goes off into a drainage ditch, and then here's the line for the white line saying that, hey, this is where the edge of the road is. There are people who do cycle around here, but there is a place that has a bike lane, but that bike lane is, you're going up your grade like this. It's a steep grade for, I want to say, a good mile or so. Well, sort of, it goes up, like this, but it's pretty steep. And that's just recently been implemented, because when I first moved here just before the pandemic, it was not there. And someone got the smart idea to turn around and go, hey, we need a bike lane here. But most of the bike trails in Vermont, or at least in the southwestern portion of it, is designed for more mountain bikes. There are more dirt trails than they are commuter trails. But but yeah, unfortunately, I am not the morning person that I used to be. So that's why I'm sort of waffling on. And it's not starting on time. Also, it's not helping either. I might have to possibly adjust the alarm clock to wake up a little bit earlier, so get a lot less brain fog. But all right, let's switch over to the other camera. And we'll go back here, and as you can see, you can actually see which rail has decided to come apart. Uh, Probably what I'll wind up doing is putting up a whole much more super glue. Speaking of super glue, I probably should grab a new little bottle. Okay. Yeah, I'll get this little pop this thing yet and see if this super glue hasn't solidified. Yeah, this one's solidified. See, I like these smaller ones because there's times that I'll wind up using a lot of super glue, and then all of a sudden there's like large, very large dry spells where I'm not using super glue, and when that happens, they dry out, and ooh, maybe not. Okay. Now, question is, does this work? Yes, it works. All right. So we don't need this one just yet. But the thing is, if that wound up solidifying, it's only 3 grams. So it's instead of having a much the older large bottle sizes, it might be in the long run more expensive to use these, but if these wind up being wasted, it winds up being cheaper in my opinion. Now for the important detail of trying to find. Oh, hello there, Stale Mill. Thank you for coming in. Probably should move the phone over here so I can see the chat. Well, right now I'm repairing damage to the layout. As you can obviously tell that, well, something went awry. And the main reason why I'm fixing it is I was invited to the Model Train People podcast. And although I'm not fully ready, I do have a locomotive. So I could, theoretically demonstrate the silly thing. Unfortunately, the layout itself is, well, it's out of the overhead camera range. I do have another camera that I could probably show how it works that way, but just realized that I should have turned around and grabbed should look for my track lane equipment so I can turn around and re-gauge everything. Where did I put that stuff? There's that. There's not. That's some of the future stuff uh, for the layout. There's a portal. But yeah, I'm finding out that I'm not really a morning person, so I am. I haven't really concentrated on this week, but I am thinking of changing my schedule again. Mostly for. Ooh. Wait a sec. Probably not the smartest things I do, but. Oh, not the smartest thing to do, but if I guess I could, if I needed to, maybe use these as a track gauge. Not a good track gauge, but it is a track gauge. It's the quarter. One of those things I think I'm organized, and I am not. I have to leave it over here. Well, hello, Bernard. Thank you for coming in. Ooh, coffee. Probably would be a smart thing. Ooh, all right. This I know I can use as a track gauge. So I've used it as a track gauge. Looks like that's what we'll have to do. So we'll put these back. Well, if you're asking me what I'm doing, I am repairing I'm repairing the layout where one of the rails has come off, and we'll go that direction. Now let's see how far I can bring this into focus. And it looks like I'm not going to get nowhere near as much as I want to. All right. Well, it looks like I switch cameras. All right. Go to the other live camera. All right, there we are. It's not a good view, but it's a view good enough. But yeah, it seems that the temperature change turned around and just turned around and took the one rail off. Now the good news about this is that it took this rail off. And this rail I can get away with using the standard track gauge to re-gauge everything. Because this is the common rail for both of them. So I need to, let's see, go down here. We'll find out where it stopped. And I'm probably going to use the two sides on this on the fixed rail. And basically I'm going to be using a lot more super glue to keep the track down. Yes, this is all hand laid because mainly because of there is no 6-foot gauge track in any scale. One of the things is that I mean, I guess technically I could sheet with S gauge track because it is 1 millimeter shorter. But all right, steel mill is back with coffee in hand, I'm assuming. And that's one of the not quite challenges. The most challenging part was actually the switch that's here. And I wound up cheating on that because I do have a Fast Tracks jig, and what I wound up doing is making the center portion where the frog is and that in the jig, and then using a handmade track gauge for 6 foot to do the rails and get the spacing on this end. And the thing is, if you notice, this is sort of like a gauntlet track, and that was because to get the golden spike, you have to have 3 different styles of trackage. It does say a switch is a different setup. I'm not quite sure if they'll allow the gauntlet track as a different style of trackage, and then the triple gauge. But hello there, Train Buff Boy, Corey. Thank you for coming in. I'm fixing a rail on my track here. It's hand laid, mainly because they don't make a 6-foot gauge track. This is a broad gauge. So slide that there. And no, I do not have a cat. Hello there, Randall. Thank you for coming in. No, I think what had happened, I didn't have enough glue down, and seasonal changes turned around and just was too much for the track, and it popped off. So I'm putting a lot more super glue down. I think I only did about it looks like some of the parts I wound up skipping ties. This time I'm not skipping ties. And once I start getting closer to the overhead cam, I'll switch over so you can see it from that perspective. The layout's a little bit too long for the overhead cam. I think it only goes to here, I think. But I mean, it's not going to be much, but since I am waiting for super glue to dry, might be super, but it still takes time. I mean, it's not as doesn't take as long as especially if I wound up using an accelerator, but I don't have any accelerator. But some, you know, it's to me, it's like yes, they do. They let's see now. Things I yeah, I think these are micro engineering track spikes that I did wind up getting. They're pretty much like I want to say they're almost more. These are more, I want to say, pins than spikes, because the head is. I'm not sure if you can see that, but the head is pretty. Of course, I'm nowhere near the focus range. But it's more like a round-headed pin instead of a spike that you would assume. But there are different ones out there that have spikes. That was my original intention for this, but I found out that glue is a little bit quicker, but it has to be put down properly. Hence the reason why I'm fixing this. But I would have to say out of 1 out of 7 track. It's not bad. Actually, wait a second. I forgot the list down here. 7, 8, 9. Yeah. All right. Out of 10, out of 1 out of 10. Rails not coming up. That's, I think, a pretty good, pretty decent amount. I'm glad that this section here didn't fall apart, because of putting the gauntlet track was a little bit of a challenge, because the gauges that I made out of popsicle sticks didn't really, go over very well. What I did with this one is that I laid out the 6-foot gauge first, and then used my normal standard gauge track gauges for to put in the third rail. But here it was a little bit more of a challenge. If I remember correctly, I did this the center rails first. They are actually standard gauge in the center here. And then had to wound up using it was a bit of a challenge trying to get the track gauge over the other the narrow rail to put in the 6-foot gauge. But I would say good. I would say decent eyesight. It's not a. You don't need to have a magnifying glass, but you do need steady hands. Somebody with like Parkinson's disease, where their hands are shaky, that's going to be a challenge for them. Yeah. Ooh, okay. Nice. But I'm trying to think, Randall, were you the one that was doing there was somebody doing a live stream with O Gauge 3 rail. I was wondering if that was you or not. Um, one thing that sort of stood out was it was something that you don't normally do. Well, hello there, Mr. Dodge. Thank you for coming in. Doing a little track repair on my layout. It seems that with hand laid track, you got to be a little bit more concerned about weathering and all the weather itself. And I had a rail come up, so I am basically slowly putting the rail back on. This time putting in, basically putting super glue on every single tie instead of I wound up skipping. It looks like yeah, there's a section here. It looks like, I'm not sure if the glue just didn't take or it all came off, but this time I'm sort of taking my time, making sure that everything is solid. I was thinking of weight and all that, and I'm like, hey, I have a tender. It has a metal bottom, so this can be used as a weight. The metal on the side that's being glued, not the plastic, and it doubles as a test car. There we go. Gotcha. All right. So, yeah, basically, today is watching glue dry. Sort of stepped it up a little bit and do every 2 ties instead of every 1. What I was saying before is that not as since I've been working for a second shift for so long, I'm no longer the morning person that I used to be. All right, Randall. Well, I would have to say thank you for stopping in, and have yourself a good day. And Bernard is back. So, Bernard, do you have snow on the mountain? I mean, I myself, I'm in the Green Mountain State, but I haven't seen snow yet. Yeah, it's gonna be relatively. Oh wow, so it's almost 9:45 already. Wow, time flies when you're watching glue dry. Uh, yeah, all right. I've seen pellet stoves, but never used one. Actually, when I was growing up, we actually had a good old fashioned Franklin stove, and things I hated, constantly doing the wood stuff and all that. Uh, but it did sort of get to a point where uh, uh, moving all that wood around, I didn't realize how strong I was until I got into, well, I think it was middle school, and they turned around and said, "All right, you know, get bench pressed and see how how strong people were and all that." And I always thought I was weak and all that, and then all of a sudden, here I am, uh, bench pressing stuff. A lot of people are not being able to because I'm holding wood all day. Gotcha. Yeah, it's one of those things of the classical Franklin stoves, or any of the classic stoves. They don't have to have specialized pallets, but at the same time, they're fully manual. Pellet stoves, from my understanding, they could turn around and uh, if you need to, you can turn around and use it as a oh, what am I thinking? It's sort of automatic, I guess. I guess there's a small little auger in there that lets the lets the stuff do its stuff. But since I wound up getting on late, I'll stay on for another 10 minutes. Ooh, okay. Yeah, I'm so out of touch with the new equipment today. This is not sure why it's sticking. Shouldn't be sticking, but it's sticking. Oh, there, Eugene. Why, thank you, Eugene. It's one of those things of more the merrier. Uh, I'm far from being a professional, but every new person is very uh, appreciative, and all the thumbs up. Um, I would have to say I'm more proficient in electronics than I am with social media. Yeah, I think when it came to cutting wood, or for me, it was more like splitting. Dad did all. Dad was the one who actually operated the chainsaw. He uh, didn't really trust me with it. We wound up before I was, I guess, old and uh, uh, old enough to run the chainsaw. We had gotten rid of the stove because I think my father was having a hard time being able to. Uh, yeah, he was having a hard time running the chainsaw, so we got rid of it, and because I wasn't old enough to start running the chainsaw, so that's why Dad got rid of it. But, I would have to be. It's one of those things of I found out later in life. It's amazing on how uh, um, what had no, I wouldn't say what had happened, but what uh, how the wood splitting skills wound up translating into life that I would never would have expected. Ooh, I think we might have another spot where things went awry. But thankfully, um, did not go that awry. Yeah, there's a couple of spots where rails wound up moving. But do 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 a couple more ties. And we'll switch cameras. All right, this way. I'll probably wind up doing this off camera because watching someone putting track down and watching glue dry is not the most uh, uh, not the most exciting thing to do. All right, now back to. Oh, okay. I guess I was finally in frame, but overhead or sideways is still blah. But yeah, I would have to say that's probably it for today. Sorry for the short setup, but as I said, I'm not the morning person yes, I'm not the morning person that I used to be. So getting up this, having to be up this early is definitely a challenge. But I will figure out exactly what schedule to go with. It's probably more midday during the week. But I don't know. It's one of those things that I will wind up. It seems that every time I would change the schedule, I would wind up losing people. Because the schedule has changed. But yeah, I'm not quite sure what I'm planning on doing. But I'm going to assume Randall will eventually find me because his schedule's all over the place. So I'm assuming he'd be one that would follow me wherever I go. Just expect him to randomly pop up every now and then. Because of his job schedule. I mean, I work second shift, but he's on call. That means, hey, we need you now. So there's times that he's on the normal channels, and then there's sometimes he's not. But I would have to say I'm using. Originally when I started the channel, it was like, oh well, I was unemployed. It was during the pandemic. Hey, maybe I can make money on this thing. Then soon after I, started, it was about a month, and then all of a sudden I got hired someplace else. All right. Well, Bernard, thank you for coming. As I said, I am getting ready to log off so people can go over to Back on Track. I would say that's one of the things I like about this schedule is that I know exactly where, I know exactly who to say, hey, go over here. With Sidetrack Sunday, it's like going like, okay, who's doing it this week? But it's like I also decided not to try to be a unauthorized what did I say? Unauthorized and why am I always forgetting the last one? But pre-show of a different setup. So it's basically I'm going to be on like, all right, I'm going to pop on, and if there's a show, and if I wind up having being on top of another show or not being a pre-show with something else, so let it be. So, all right. Well, everyone, I believe the world needs more love. So find your passion, add some silliness to it, and spread it around. Bye.